We are back with the Dime Comic Bros podcast, and it is just Colin and I, Jacob, hello, co-hosting. And with Spencer not being here today, I would just want to get out in the open. First thing that I watched the Snyder Cut finally. And Spencer is only going to find out with the public when this episode is released next week. So
nice.
I've got some hot takes that have to wait a couple more weeks when we review it.
I've got a couple nitpicks, but yeah, I don't know if I have any hot takes. I'll have to watch it again.
It's gonna be messy when we talk about it.
We're going to have a whole episode where we're not doing anything, not news, nothing. Just the whole episode's just we talk about the Snyder Cut.
Right? Just get it out of our system and then never talk about it again.
Why buy a comic that might cost more than a dime? Come meet the brothers who are here to waste your time.
So welcome back to the Dime Comic Bros podcast, where we talk comics, books and movies and TV shows and whatever else comes to mind. I'm your host, Patrick. Co-hosting with me is SpongeBob. Hello.
Hi.
Welcome back.
Thank you, Patrick.
So starting off with the news, there is a new trailer for Star Wars The Bad Batch that is dropping on Disney Plus on May the 4th. Did you watch the trailer?
Yeah, I did.
What'd you think?
Excited. I didn't realize that like all the stormtroopers, or not stormtroopers, but like the Empire was already like had their hands on literally everything. I mean, they kind of already did like in episode 3, but I didn't think that we'd see. Is his name Tarkin?
Yes.
I always forget his name. I didn't think that we were going to see Tarkin in this.
Right. So that's what I picked up on, and I was trying to piece together when this show is happening in the timeline, because he dies in episode 4.
Yeah. So this is like, also we still see some clone troopers. We still see like a crap ton of clone troopers.
Right.
So it's still like right after episode 3, but it's strange. When I started thinking about it, I was like, Tarkin, I've only seen him in like little things, but nothing before like episode 3. Like, where'd he come from? I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Spencer would have the answer to that.
Spencer always has an answer.
I know, he does. Like, I'm always shocked when he doesn't have an answer, because he seems to know every single little thing about what we talk about. It's like he's our encyclopedia. Well, let's see. We got the first Rick and Morty season 5 trailer.
We did?
Yeah, I didn't. That's in our news. I didn't see it though. I didn't even know
that
we got it.
I want to say I saw it last week, but whenever it dropped, I saw it.
Huh.
So,
I didn't get to see that. I'll have to watch that after.
It was fine, I guess. I was surprised at how much footage was in it. Same with The Bad Batch. It was like a 2-minute trailer. So
yeah, that was
surprising how much we actually saw in both of these trailers. So I'm excited for both.
I'm not too like enthusiastic about Rick and Morty as I used to be. I don't know. Maybe I've not grown out of it, but like my taste is different now. I don't really care for it too much, but I am not opposed to watching Rick and Morty, new episodes of Rick and Morty. I don't like rewatching Rick and Morty, but
yeah, rewatching can get kind of rough, but I'm not a diehard fan, but like I keep up on it.
Yeah,
I like it enough, so
I won't read the comics, I'll tell you that much.
But will you play the Dungeons and Dragons rendition of Rick and Morty?
No way. No way. I play Dungeons and Dragons, but I will not be playing a Rick and Morty version.
I don't know. That's just a little too weird.
Yeah.
Exclusive from HollywoodReporter.com. A time-honored Batman tale is coming to the screen with the animated Batman The Long Halloween Part 1. Supernatural's Jensen Ackles leads the cast as Batman/Bruce Wayne after previously voicing Jason Todd/the Red Hood in 2010's Batman Under the Red Hood. Among the ensemble voice cast is Naya Rivera, the late Glee star who died in July. That's very unfortunate. Rivera completed her voice work as Catwoman/Selena Kyle for The Long Halloween, which will be a 2-part project, with part 1 expected to drop this spring or summer. Other stars include Josh Duhamel as Harvey Dent, Billy Burke as James Gordon, Titus Welliver as Carmine Falcone, David Dastmalchian as Calendar Man, Troy Baker as Joker, Amy Landecker as Barbara Gordon, Julie Nathanson as Gilda Dent, Jack Quaid as Alberto, Fred Teschior as Solomon Grundy, and Alistair Duncan as Alfred.
Wow, that's a lot. I'm excited for this because I loved Batman Under the Red Hood, and I loved Jensen Ackles' take, and his voice fit Jason Todd so well, and maybe with his age, he will fit this version of Batman. So I'm excited to see how that is. But there's also one other name that I do know, David Dastmalchian. I think that's how you say his name. I'm probably wrong, but he plays Calendar Man. He voices Calendar Man in this, and he's a big DC actor that they use. Not for huge roles, but he was the man that Harvey Dent interrogated in The Dark Knight. He also played in The Flash. He played in Gotham, and he also plays as the new Polka Dot Man in the new Suicide Squad.
Interesting.
Yeah, he's a big DC guy.
I also notice a bunch of names: Troy Baker and Fred Teschior. I don't know how to say his last name, but
people have weird last names.
Those are both huge voice actors, that just in absolutely everything. So, I'm excited for this.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's gonna be cool. Sony delays Venom, Let There Be Carnage 1 week, and the film will now open on September 24th, 2021.
So there's not much to that news. I'm not quite sure why they would delay it 1 week, but sure.
Sure, why not?
Right? It's not a year, so we'll take it.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Black Adam is premiering July 29th, 2022. So we have another year and a half to wait for that.
Yep, that kind of sucks, but also like I can live without it.
Right?
I'll probably change my mind once I see it, but like some of these some of these movies like I never care about until I actually see it. So
right now it's just like it's not even a movie poster in my mind. It's just a name.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's coming out eventually. Like, whatever. We'll get there. There's no hype behind it yet.
But one thing I am excited to see is the new Suicide Squad, which a trailer just came out. A new one dropped recently. And I'm really excited for this because I've been waiting for a live action version of the Polka Dot Man because I just think he's so funny. I think he's such a weird guy, and also I love the actor. But what I'm more excited about is King Shark.
So, I mean, we talked about this a little bit last week. I didn't chase down the new trailer because I saw last week's new trailer. So, yay.
Yeah, wasn't the newest trailer is where like we get to see a little bit of Starro, and King Shark rips a dude in half and then eats one other dude.
Yep.
And King Shark's voiced by Sylvester Stallone.
Right.
Like, what is this? What multiverse did we get dropped into?
In my time being locked up this week, I've been doing some research on Starro, and I'm very excited. Very, very excited for it.
I'm so excited. I remember watching my first introduction to Starro was Batman Brave and the Bold. Do you remember
Yep.
that?
Oh yeah.
That was such a good one. It was such a wonky cartoon for Batman, but it was
Right.
still nonetheless golden. Like it was funky. Batman was like stoic but also not. And then we got to see like a whole Starro arc. I remember seeing a whole season where they would have this one scene before the episode started, and every single episode someone got like attached by like a little Starro baby.
Interesting. I don't think I ever saw that. So our last bit of news is an exclusive from HollywoodReporter.com. Warner Brothers and DC Films' upcoming slate is moving forward without Ava DuVernay's New Gods and James Wan's Aquaman spin-off The Trench. As part of our DC slate, some legacy development titles, including New Gods and The Trench, will not be moving forward, Warner Brothers and DC said in a statement. We thank our partners Ava DuVernay, Tom King, James Wan, and Peter Safran for their time and collaboration during this process and look forward to our continued partnership with them on other DC stories. The projects will remain in their skillful hands if they were to move forward in the future. So political bullshit and tomfoolery. Point is, we're not getting the movies, it sounds like.
I'm actually a little bummed about not getting New Gods. From what I was told and shown is that the New Gods are like Miracle Man or Mr. Miracle, I think. Is it Mr.
Okay.
Miracle? Yeah, I think it's Mr. Miracle. And I don't know much about him. I just know that when I saw him in like Justice League, the animated series, and like all his little appearances, I always liked him. He just had like a fun type of attitude and just how I don't know. I just always thought he was cool. And also I am about to read Mr. Miracle Man written by Tom King.
Nice.
Yeah. So this sucks a little bit, but I guess I can live without it.
Right? Yeah. Like nothing we can do about it now. Like, oh well, it's gone. So
yeah, well,
whatever.
Our news kind of sounds a little boring without Spencer, because I feel like whatever Spencer would be like bummed about like every single one of these. You'd be like,
right? I was so looking forward to the Aquaman spinoff that we don't even have a name for yet.
Yeah, I don't even know what some of these are, man. Like, why are we even doing the
news? We are not qualified to do the news.
I'm underqualified for this job.
Something we may be qualified for. Shall we talk about Superman Doomsday?
Yes, we shall. I just finished that. So
it was released in 2007. A quick, simple summary. Lex Luthor has some illegal secret mining operation. He's trying to use the Earth's core as a power source. And in the mines, as they're drilling, his underlings find an alien craft, puncture it, and piss off the bad guy inside, whose only instinct is to kill. Meanwhile, Clark Kent goes on a business trip to Afghanistan. And so, meanwhile, Superman spends the weekend banging Lois Lane in the Fortress of Solitude until the alien makes his way to Metropolis and starts wrecking shit. And Superman says, I gotta go. That's my simple summary.
that's a pretty good summary for like Act 1 and like a little bit of 2. Let's see what else happened. So he went to go see Doomsday and he just got wrecked. Gets his heart rate slowed down and everyone thinks he's dead. And then new Superman, clone Superman, comes about, wreaks havoc. Superman is trying to get back into shape, gets into a really cool black and silver suit, and gets his Kryptonite gun from his little robot man that says, "This is the way." And he goes to fly out and just.
Do you know the way?
Yeah, I do know the way. Do you know the way?
I know the way.
And he goes and kills the clone Superman.
Nice.
I'm glad that this isn't actually a part of the Justice League cartoons, because it would have been cool for some of it, but I do know that they did their own in the Justice League, like I think Justice League Unlimited, but also it makes sense that it's not a part of it because Lex Luthor is skinnier and he's like different attitude towards things. Lois Lane is redesigned completely different from what she looks like in the animated series and the Justice League Unlimited series. So I can see how it's not in the same universe. Pretty good cartoon. I remember seeing some of this as a kid when Cartoon Network did their like little Friday night dark superhero shows or movies or whatever, which was basically Batman Beyond and like this.
Right.
But yeah, I don't have much to say about it other than it was really cool, really good, and it's good. It's good to the point where it made me start drawing that Superman with the mullet. Yeah.
So his the way they drew him seemed kind of weird in this one. He had these weird cheekbone lines like right near his eyes that seemed kind of weird. I think they were trying to make his face look
older.
That's what I thought it looked like, but I'm wondering if they were trying to make him appear like a chiseled chin, basically, like a strongly structured face or something. I don't know. It just seemed like they were trying to make his face sturdy, but it just made him look old and used.
Yeah, so this is actually the same design. This is what made people a little confused, is because the Superman design is the same as the Justice League cartoons and Justice League Unlimited. So
and the animated Superman.
Yeah, and well, actually, it's different than the animated series.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's because the ways that it's different is the colors are a little bit darker, and they also gave him more of those like creases that you're saying. And the purpose of them were actually to make him look older. So they took not inspiration, but they just took the same design as the Justice League because it's made by the same people.
So when Lois Lane and Superman are in the Fortress of Solitude, getting to know each other, it's well established that they've been doing this for about 6 months now, and Lois Lane is trying to find out Superman's secret identity to make the relationship a little bit more intimate. She's like, basically, if we're doing this, I should know who you are. So that leads to Superman's first fight with Lois, or argument, I should say. I don't know. That seemed kind of weird and forced.
Yeah, no, I'd have to agree with you. When she said we've been together for 6 months, I'm like, I don't know. It seems pretty legit, but it definitely was I think it was a plot point that wasn't really needed, but it was used because she said, I already know who you are. I want you to tell me who you are.
Right. Yeah. She figures out, it seems, right after he dies, who his secret identity is. And she goes and visits Martha Kent after Superman has died, and they have a touching heart-to-heart moment and all that stuff. So
I actually felt that one. That one actually made me feel things a little bit. I was like, dang, cartoons make me feel things still.
So we also, after the death of Superman, the crime rate rises, and we have Toyman show up. What'd you think about that?
I actually really liked that. I like the different design because we see Toyman in, I feel like we see that in the Justice League cartoons, and he actually looks like a toy, I think, unless if I'm getting two characters mixed up. Toyman looks like this ventriloquist dummy, but this one looks more like a typical 2007 weeb incel. And I was like, dang, this guy is this guy's pretty nasty. And then he kills a 4-year-old kid, and
Right.
Superman's like, nuh-uh, and just drops him. I was like, yeah, I'm okay with that.
He's driving around in a robotic ant, like causing crime and terror and stuff, which seems kind of weird. I've never seen a toy ant before, but
Yeah, I don't know why they chose an ant.
I don't know why they chose Toy Man to wreak havoc.
Yeah, that's true. He's a little weird. Oh, I was about to say maybe because if you used any of the other like super powered villains, it may have been a little bit more difficult because you have to think about like what would they actually do in a situation where he is more of a kind of like a serial killer. He's got like serial killer mentality, and so like it's a little bit more predictable where if you use like superheroes like or super powered supervillains, they have more
Right.
motives, like bigger motives.
I don't know.
Nonetheless, they could have used Mixoplex.
I don't think I've ever seen him in a movie or TV show or
Really?
anything. I've only seen him in comics.
He's in Superman the Animated Series a couple times.
Oh, I haven't seen too much of that one. I always liked the Batman animated series.
Me too. I saw just little bits and pieces here and there.
So it turns out that the Superman that stops Toyman is a clone that Lex Luthor has created from Superman's DNA. And I find it, I don't think it was explained too well because we see Luthor beating the crap out of one of the clones in an elevator. I couldn't tell if it was just one clone or if there were multiple. And if there were multiple, why we only saw one saving the city until he went cuckoo.
Oh, so he did only make one. And no, one thing I noticed, Lex Luthor in this is super gay for Superman. He's like, why did you leave me? And just beats the crap out of him. Like, dude, you're wicked gay. You're wicked gay for Superman. So yeah, I think there was. I'm pretty sure there was just one, and then we found out
that seems kind of weird. Like, if Luthor wanted to make clones of Superman, I would think he would make an army of them.
He was making an army of them by the end.
Was he?
Yeah, he made an army of them by the end. He was making one to see how it would work. And then he kept the real Superman in this like little tube thing, to like study him or stuff like that. But then, but our robot man took him back to his secret lair.
That was kind of funny too. Like, how's a robot going to sneak into Lex Luthor's tower and steal Superman?
Just does it.
His body, it wasn't shown at all. He just says, "I did it."
Yeah, it's just like I cut off the cameras. That's it. Typical cartoon stuff. I'm okay with that.
So you said you liked the mullet.
I love the mullet.
Oh, it drives me crazy. I hate it so much.
I love certain Superman mullets. Like how this was drawn, I thought it was really good.
It was a longer mullet, and it looked more like it was long hair that was brushed back instead of a mullet. So I could handle this one a little bit better than the comic one. But
yeah, I liked this one. I would have loved to see that on Henry Cavill. But I would have loved to see. Quick sidebar: I would have loved to see that as on Henry Cavill, but it makes more sense for him to have shorter hair.
Yep.
Okay, so back to Doomsday.
So, what did you think of the black suit in this movie?
Oh, I always love the black suit. Like anytime Superman wears like black and silver, I'm like, oh, amazing. Oh, I love it. Superman using a gun. Oh, love it. It's just
that's my next point. But I want to talk about the black suit a little bit more.
Okay.
Interesting that there's no cape with this black suit.
So normally whenever he's wearing like that black suit, there's no cape attached.
Really?
Yep. So the only time he actually wears a cape is with his typical Superman costume. Any other costumes he has, and there's no cape.
Huh.
It's just a design thing.
Because there might have been a cape in the Zach Daddy cut, but
yeah, that was because it's cool.
It is cool.
That's the only reason.
He's kind of naked in this movie without a big black cape So
I love it. There's a lot of naked Superman in this. Didn't you know?
So my last point is when he comes back, he has a Kryptonite gun that just magically appears. We don't get a story for that.
Oh no, we
We
do.
pick
We
up-
do a little bit.
We do? Where does
Yeah,
it come from?
the robot gives it to him. He's like, yeah, hey, you should use this. It was locked up in the archives. Use this on Superman.
That barely explains it away, I guess.
Because he said he got it from Lex Luthor like a while ago or something like that.
So Superman tries to use it against the clone. It's hit out of his hands and then quickly crushed, right?
I think it gets knocked out of his hands. He picks it
Oh
up,
no,
shoots
sorry.
him.
Lois Lane tracks it down and shoots the clone.
Oh, does she? Oh, I forgot about that.
I don't remember. I think I fell asleep near the end of the movie.
He gets shot. He gets shot with the kryptonite gas and stuff, and then Superman's like, "Oh, it's stuck on your chest," and he blows it up with his heat vision, and it all smokes up in his face.
Right. So it seems interesting that they would give Superman a gun.
I love that. I just love when characters are put into a situation that's very not them.
Right.
So like Superman without a cape, Superman with a mullet, Superman with black and silver and a gun. I love that.
A lot of firsts in this movie.
Yeah,
Well,
a lot.
This storyline.
In this storyline, it's a lot of firsts. I like that. I like their interpretation of how things went. It's way simpler than I think the comics. I like when Doomsday is simpler.
My biggest complaint about Superman, as I've read comics and just through the years, my biggest complaint about Superman is that he's OP. He's got so many super talents at his disposal with the laser eyes and the X-ray vision and the freeze breath and the super strength and the super speed. It's hard to make villains for him because he's got so many things that he can do. And I think his fight with Doomsday covered that pretty well. I mean, there were a couple of times where he had to fly a great distance after being thrown, where I was like, why doesn't he just use the laser vision? And then later, the Superman clone is literally standing on top of a tower and just using laser vision and sniping all the things and people and stuff. And I was like, yeah, like that. But
yeah, like that. Yeah.
The clone gets it.
The clone, the evil clone. Well, it's definitely because to really fight against Superman, you need things that test him in certain ways. So like magic really affects him. He has a hard time fighting magic. You have to test his morals, so you have to give him like an ultimatum or like something like that.
Which Lex is good for.
Or you have to give him like Doomsday, like a character that just can't be killed. But the funny thing is, their cop-out in this is to just fly him really high up and fly him really far down and just smash him, and that kills him.
Right.
That's so dumb. I hated that.
The world's biggest suplex ever.
Yeah, it's just like that's it. That's what killed him. There's nothing like, I don't know, because before we were shown in like 3 instances where how we were introduced to Doomsday before Superman was, and those instances showed that bullets don't work on him, projectiles, and even like a giant explosion as that like gas truck couldn't hurt him. But the thing that hurts him is just like a giant suplex. And I thought it was pretty lame. And then Superman dies right. He didn't die. He just went into big sleep mode.
Right.
He just needed a big nap.
So overall, I appreciate this movie. It brings me back to the animated shows that I grew up with and still love today. So
yeah,
great flick.
Yes, sir. I would have to agree with you on that. I loved reliving some childhood memories.
So, moving on from a great movie, we should talk about a great TV show that is current. What do you think of the latest episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier?
Zemo's kind of cringy, but in like
Really?
but like a dork way. Like he's a dork, but not like, or maybe he's just kind of like awkward. But I like him. I like him a lot.
I liked him a lot, and I don't see him being a dork. Explain yourself, sir.
Just how he walks around and like how he says certain things.
Ah.
It's like a smart dork. He's just
He's socially inept.
awkward. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I liked that. I appreciate that.
Like they showed him in a nightclub and he's trying to dance.
Yeah.
And like, all right, so this is actually a point I was planning to bring up with his haircut and kind of just how his face is. He reminds me of Peter Parker in Spider-Man 3.
Yes, yes.
Especially in the nightclub where he's trying to dance. All I could see is that cringe
Yeah.
emo Peter Parker dance that
my
you see in
word.
all the memes, and it's like bringing me back to a place I don't want to go to.
Mhm. Yeah, I now that you bring that up, I can see that entirely. But
Fun fact:
yeah.
Spencer can recreate that cringe Peter Parker dance
No.
perfectly.
No, I don't want that image in my head.
Oh yeah.
Zemo definitely gives me some like Spencer vibes, though. I don't know what it is about him. He just gives me some Spencer vibes. He's just like that smart, socially inept dude.
Oof. So we also get Sharon Carter back for this episode.
Oh, she's a turd. She's such a turd.
She is super salty.
Super salty. Like, I was wondering what happened to her. Like, why didn't we ever see her? She didn't get like a pardon or anything.
Right. As I've seen online, it seems like she was kind of wallowing in her own nobody likes me. Like
Mhm.
she was pretty high up in Shield. She could have probably made a phone call and gotten help, but instead
Yeah.
she goes to Madripoor or wherever it is, and
Metroport. I don't know how to.
yeah, something
Yeah.
like that.
And then she like gets this like all this
becomes a-
expensive stuff.
right, becomes like a crime lord basically.
Yeah, so like, what do you have to complain about? This you're in your element. What are you talking about? You
Right.
like this, so why are you being like that? You like this. You enjoyed this
So-
type of life that you made for yourself.
When she was done helping the Falcon and Winter Soldier, for a split second, it seemed like, all right, I did my part. Bye. Until like the next scene, I believe they show her getting a car and saying she's gonna go do something else, and it felt like they were leaving that
Sus.
open for more. Yeah, it's definitely sus.
Super sus. I don't trust her. I don't trust her at all. Ever since she was like when she started being salty towards them, I'm like, ooh, I don't trust her.
I don't know. I don't think she's gonna be a bad character. Probably just a good character with confused motives, but I think she'll be brought back around by the end. And that's what I was getting to, is that this isn't the last we see of her. I'm confident of that.
For sure. I love seeing these characters come back. Like I love seeing Zemo, and I loved seeing that purple mask. I like how that looks a lot. That's not really explained to us yet. And I remember us talking a while back that they said that officially he has that mask made because of Thanos. But when would he have had that made?
I do not know anything about it. I always assumed it was like a family crest, basically, but I don't know. I honestly do not know.
I heard that it was inspired because of Thanos, but I don't know if that's true.
I heard
anymore.
that theory too, but
I heard that it was a fact. I didn't hear that it was a theory.
no, I think it's a theory.
It has to be a theory because it's probably a family crest, like you said.
I mean, I don't know. We will have Spencer angrily texting us in the group chat as soon as this episode releases.
Our new Captain America.
We didn't see much of him this episode.
We got to see him being like super self-entitled. Like, do you know who I am? And
Right? And the bad guy says no, and then that's the end of the scene.
no, I don't care. Or no. He says I do, and I don't care.
And Cap's like, oh, all right. And then like it just cuts right there. It felt so sudden. Like
Pretty much, we got that, and then they got that hallway scene of them being like, "Oh, we need more leads. Oh, they're just as desperate as us. They definitely got Zemo out of prison and
right.
stuff like that." I was still confused a little bit on how that prison break worked. Like how I think they definitely jumped through a couple of hoops to make that sound like it would work, but I don't think that would work in real life at all.
Oh, it definitely wouldn't work in real life.
No, it
but
would not. Especially
I
with
think-
like how he was a terrorist, he would
I-
have more security.
I think it's kind of a good thing that they didn't linger on it though. I liked that it was he broke out like we're gonna try to explain it away quickly, but they didn't want to stay on it too long. Like that wasn't the point of the episode. So I like that.
Also, I was waiting for if we'd see any like people from Wakanda just like jumping in, and we did. We got one person coming in at the end. I
Yep.
figured we had to. They definitely follow what Bucky does, and if Bucky was involved with that, they're with like if they know that Zemo escaped and Bucky's involved, they're definitely going to follow him.
I didn't understand the balls that he was picking up as breadcrumbs to her. I don't know what those are.
It feels like checkpoints for like where they last were, but I don't understand the purpose of doing that,
Right.
of leaving something there rather than just like writing it down or just keeping it like archived.
That seemed kind of weird. Also, because we haven't shit on Spencer enough yet, I would like to take this opportunity to say in last week's episode, I was calling the angry mob led by Kari, what's her face? I was calling them terrorists, and Spencer took a solid 20 seconds to explain to me that they hadn't done anything terroristy. And then in this episode, they rob an embassy, I believe,
Yeah.
of food and medicine and things, doing their quote unquote Robin Hood thing. And then on their way out, they explode a car
To make
right
a
out-
point.
outside the front door. And one of the bad guys is like, we didn't have to do that. Like, we're on our way out with the stuff. And she was like, yeah, but I'm a bad guy and this is the only language they talk. And they have to understand what I'm thinking through
Yeah.
a exploding car. So I believe the exploding car makes them a terrorist group now, Spencer.
I would agree with you.
Besides that, it was just another solid episode. I'm still intrigued. I think Spencer said last episode that there's only 6 episodes in this show.
That would be correct.
Didn't we have like 9 of WandaVision?
Yep.
Seems kind of well, I guess these episodes are longer. They're like 50 to 60 minutes. So
Yeah, they're definitely longer. Also, it just depends on how much story they actually need to give, because these are kind of like
right.
they're like bridges to the chorus of our MCU.
That's true. And I wouldn't want them to pad it out with just fluff and filler. Like
Yeah.
some shows have suffered from, like the Marvel Netflix
I was
show.
about to get to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I loved Daredevil, but like there was no point to Daredevil externally, like to interlink with the.
I'm not doing
You're rude. You're rude.
it.
To interlink with the MCU. So it's kind of just like its own little bottle.
Right. But some of those shows felt like they were they were given 12 episodes and they had to fill 12 episodes with superhero story. And
Mhm.
it's like some of the seasons were like, but we don't have 12 episodes worth of story. So let's throw in random bullshittery go.
Yeah, I don't like getting filler or fluff. Sometimes filler can be nice, but when filler is nice, technically it's not filler because it has a purpose.
Right. It's important. And
Mhm.
I think that these Disney Plus shows have realized that and just make a good story with minimal filler, trim the fat, so to speak. So I appreciate that.
Me too.
Anything else on whatever we were just talking about? I forgot.
Not much really caught my eye in this one. I was a little bored, but some of it was pretty good.
Cool. So this week I read Dune, the graphic novel, book 1. The original novel was written by Frank Herbert, and it was adapted into this book by Brian Herbert, his son, and Kevin J. Anderson. It was illustrated by Raoul Allen and Patricia Martin. This is a high quality book. It's got the pages feel super thick and sturdy, almost like cardstock, or maybe even thicker than that. It's an interesting feeling, but it'll definitely hold up to you reading it as opposed to normal comic books that have the super thin glossy pages.
They're like magazines.
Yeah, the book feels really, really good in your hand, being a hardcover too. The artwork is clear, but kind of soft. It's really hard to describe. It was like it was colored with watercolors or maybe colored pencil, and it's got a lot of soft lighting. It's really hard to describe.
Weird. That is kind of strange for like a Dune universe, you know?
But it works.
But it
because
works.
the color choices especially do well making the hot environments hot, and there's a couple of cool environments like the desert at night is really, really cool, so they use blues to show that it's getting cold. There's also like a terrarium, I guess. There's a lot of greens in there, and that's probably the between that and a fight scene at the very end of the book that was placed over black paper. There's a lot of reds in the fight. So the reds and the greens, the reds in the fight and the greens in the garden are like the brightest examples of the artwork, closest to like glossy or normally colored comics. But everything else feels very, very soft, like a watercolor, basically. So it was kind of weird, but really, really good. Definitely a distinct style. The original book is in 3 parts, kind of like if you've read Lord of the Rings. There's 2 books per actual physical book in your hand. So this graphic novel follows the first part of the first book. So it's about a third of the book, I believe.
Huh.
No, I'm sorry. It's half of the original
Oh,
novel.
okay.
And
So there's like 6 parts in total of 3 books. So like there's
No.
there's 2 parts in each book.
There's 3 parts in the first original novel. There's 3 books. There's 3 parts inside the first book.
In Dune?
Yes.
Just the first book.
Yes.
Weird.
It's not like 3 different story books. It's just separated into 3 sections.
That's what you mean by because Lord of the Rings is one whole story.
Yes,
But different like arcs.
Yeah.
Yes and no.
It's like, all right, so in Fellowship, right? You have I'm pretty sure it says like book 1, and
Mhm.
then like halfway through it says book 2, and then you go to Two Towers and it says book 3, and then halfway through it's like book 4, right?
I wouldn't know. I haven't read the book.
I'm pretty sure so. So it's something like that. So there's 3 distinct sections in the first novel, and this graphic novel follows the first section of the original novel. Okay?
Okay. I think I follow. Just keep
it's
moving
it's
on.
like a
I think-
hard stop in the book.
Huh.
So this book follows that first section, which is about half the original novel. The next book to come out is advertised in the back of the graphic novel as Book 2 Muad'Dib, which is the Messiah in the story. And it says that releases in spring 2022. And Muad'Dib is also the name of the second section in the original novel. So I have a feeling that there will be a third book to this graphic novel series, all retelling the original novel.
That's a lot of sections. That's a lot of things you got going on there.
It's a lot to follow.
That hurt my brain a little bit.
So just to summarize, there will be 3 graphic novels recreating the original novel.
All right.
So
Okay.
I am very excited to wait a whole year to get book 2.
All right. I'll have to check that out. So what I've been reading, what I've been reading recently is Berserk Chapter 2. So we are shown more about this character named Griffith, who is the leader of the I think the Black Hawks, I think that's what they're called, or something. A Band of the Hawks, that's what it is. Yep. He's the leader of the Band of the Hawks, which are a mercenary group that work for this kingdom, and they're trying to conquer all kingdoms. So
kind of like Game of Thrones or something like that.
a little bit, but what we're shown right now is kind of like a prequel, because this is called the Golden Age arc, which shows what happened between Griffith and our main character Guts. Because we were in the first book, we were shown that Guts was in this world where he had this like mark of sacrifice, and demons and whatever creatures would always try to kill him. And we were shown why, or what the mark of sacrifice does in this Golden Age arc. So we're shown more into why people are confused about Griffith a little bit, because in this story right now, they're kind of like 18, 19, and they're this like mercenary bands that like everyone's terrified of because of Griffith. He's has such a crazy intellect, strategic master at such a young age, and no one's really close to him. And his peers, I guess you could say, they would tell you that he sometimes acts as an adult with his strategic ways and his thought patterns, but when you get to be around him, he like smiles at you or just looks at you with such a childish charm, such a childish glimmer in his eye.
Yep.
And so people are very confused and don't know him. People don't know him, and Guts gets to know him for who he is, and he shares his dream with him. And we're also introduced to this thing called the Egg of the King, which is they don't know this yet, but us as readers know that the Egg of the King is basically a key to unlocking a pocket dimension to meet the 5 God Hand, which are these like demon kings. And the only way to unlock it is by spilling your own blood onto it. And he tells him how he got this like charm, because it's connected to a necklace. he tells Guts how he got this charm from this old lady salesman who says whoever has this, their dreams will come true. And he has a dream to Griffith, the one who has the Egg of the King, has a dream to have his own kingdom, which is very difficult unless if you are born into royalty, but he's just a commoner. And
Filthy commoner.
filthy commoner. Guts is trying to kind of like find a purpose for himself because he's just kind of used by Griffith to get what he wants. And he does a dirty job for Griffith, killing one of the royalty. And he goes back to try to find him, but he's at this royal ball and he finds him outside, but one of their companions stops him from seeing Griffith because Guts is going to embarrass him looking as he does, because he's all a bloody mess and his clothes is all ripped up because he just escaped a bunch of guards by killing the said royalty. And Griffith explains to this lady friend that he has with him, the only way to be his friend is to be an equal, and to be an equal to him is they would have to have their own dream, not to feed off of a dream of someone else, like how his Band of the Hawk do to him. They follow Griffith's dream because they see Griffith as someone who can achieve a dream. So Guts is trying to find his own dream now.
Cool.
Which is right where their conflict starts. And the only way he would say the only way for them to be a friend to him is to achieve their dream, even if it means fighting me. And that's the beginning of their conflict.
Huh.
It's a really good story. It is very difficult at times with how gruesome it can get. You just have to not be skittish towards that, like I've said before.
Cool. Well, speaking of gruesome, I read Spawn Volume 2, which includes issues 7 through 9, 11 through 14. I don't know why it skipped issue 10, but I will get there. Spawn is written by Todd McFarlane. I read Volume 1 months ago, like 5 months ago, I think. It was quite a while ago. And apparently there was a cliffhanger at the end of that book that I did not remember too well going into this book. So issue 7 wrapped up some leftover story from that. Spawn violently destroys a cyborg man that's come to kill him, and it feels pretty 90s edgelord violent.
Which is just Spawn in general.
Right.
He's such a product of the 90s.
Definitely, but I love it. Number 8 is really, really gross, but in a good way. It was written by Alan Moore.
Our Wizard King.
Yes. It's set in hell, and it follows a band of misfits as they meet their final demise in the afterlife. It shows all kinds of disgusting creatures and hellscapes. It was very memorable. Issue number 9 is very interesting because it introduces the character Angela. This is her first ever appearance in comics. So as soon as I turned the page and saw her, I was like, whoa, because I've seen her in some Marvel comics and she looks exactly the same. So what happened is this issue was written by Neil Gaiman and drawn by Todd McFarlane. And a long time after this issue came out, Gaiman or whatever fought and won custody of Angela from McFarlane, and then a little bit later sold her to Marvel. So she appeared in Age of Ultron number 10 in 2013, and then when I first saw her was in an Original Sin spin-off series where she's in heaven basically, like leading a band of angels. And they figure out that she's Odin's long lost daughter. So from there, uh, basically, that is part of Jason Aaron's Thor run. It's about like halfway, I think.
This character sounds like it has such a controversial like past and just like existence in general. Like
Right.
it's from Spawn, which is what, like Image Comics.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, like Spawn's Image, and then goes to Marvel and
Right.
stays at Marvel.
So far, like she landed there in 2013, and I'm still reading her in the As Guardians of the Galaxy run, which ties into the War of the Realms story arc. So her whole history at Marvel has been pretty messy. She's like a supporting character to all kinds of events, but she hasn't had her own thing yet.
So what's so great about her?
She is in Spawn a badass Hellspawn hunter downer killer. So in this issue, she is hearing about Spawn just down the street from wherever she's working, and she's like, I gotta go. So she hunts him down and tries to kill him, and is just barely beaten because Spawn's cape isn't having any of it and like kicks her out. But the issue started with her hunting down Hellspawn thousands of years ago, and she's still doing that in present day when Spawn is trying to figure out what he's doing himself.
So she's just like a immortal Hellspawn killer?
Yeah, basically.
Huh, all right.
So very, very different backstories, whether she's at Image or Marvel, but definitely the same character.
That's so strange.
Right? Issue 10, like I said, isn't included, which is really weird because she sends Spawn to another dimension, like a purgatory, basically. So that's what issue 10 is about, and 11 references it, like what happened in 10, but it's not included, and it drives me crazy. Issue 11 is about a gang war over the alleyway that Spawn and his homeless friends call home. Spawn ends this gang war by having the two gangs meet each other at the alleyway at a certain time, and they basically just kill each other in the alleyway. And then Spawn just does cleanup and kills whoever's left standing. Written by Frank Miller.
Of course. Of course. It's always the alleyways with him and gangs.
Right?
Ever since he got mugged.
Issues 12 and 13 are called Flashback, parts 1 and 2, and it fills in some of Spawn's history before he was killed. He remembers who his killer is, and he tries to deal with his wife having remarried and having a kid without him because he was dead. Issue 14, the last issue of the book, features the Violator, who was seen in issue 2. The Violator is retelling a story, and the way he's describing it is different from the story that you see in the artwork. So it was a pretty interesting issue. That ends with a cliffhanger that will pick up in volume 3. So overall, the art is still amazing. Like Colin was saying, Spawn is so 90s. And you get that. There's pouches on pouches on pouches and epic chains and capes, and everything's just kind of floating and magical, and it's overdone and ridiculous, but it's still epic and awesome.
Just such an edgy 90s character.
Right? The characters are always posing. Like monsters are like hulking and
like big,
scary
brooding,
and intimidating. Or heroes are always standing like with their capes all swooped out and majestically flowing. I noticed in this volume that there's a lot of reading, just huge paragraphs or even pages with very little artwork. It's all story. And I always kind of dread reading this huge page, but it was more stage setting so that there could be more artwork and a fight scene and whatever, and you understood what was going on. It wasn't just a huge exposition dump. So I really love what I'm seeing in Spawn, and I cannot wait for more.
Alrighty. I was thinking about reading some Spawn, but I think what steered me away was just, I don't know, there just seems to be so much of it, like I don't know where to start.
Right.
But speaking of characters of where I don't know where to start to read, I bought Mr. Miracle the other day at Stairway to Heaven Comics. It says here that it's an Eisner Award winner, Best Writer, Best Artist. And the writer and artist is Tom King and then Mitch Gerrits. I haven't fully read it, or maybe I've read like a page or two, but the artwork is just fantastic. And one thing that I like about it too is it's panel work. Its panel work is just, let's see, it's 9 panels each page. It's like how Vision was and how one of the Moon Knight's comics was, where it's just 3 panels on the top, 3 panels. They're all the same size, same dimension, and that's how it is the whole way through. Which
same with most pages in Three Jokers and Doomsday Clock.
Yeah,
Watchmen.
Which I like a lot because it gives it kind of like an isolating feeling. But saying this, remember, I haven't read it. I don't know what the story's like, but it's giving a very isolated feeling. And same with the colors. I'm very excited to read this. And this is just a preface, a prelude to when I'm going to talk about it in next week.
Nice. Ugh, this one's going to be tough.
Uh-oh.
You thought Spawn was in depth. So on HBO Max, there is a movie called Batman: Death in the Family. It came out in 2020.
Oh my word. Okay, just keep going. I'll save it.
Do you know what this is?
Yes. Okay. I hate the one they have on HBO Max because what I was told from this movie is that it's an interactive movie.
Right.
But so the HBO Max isn't.
If you buy the Blu-ray, it's interactable, and there's 7 possible endings.
Mm-hmm.
The one on HBO is half-hour long and not interactable at all.
No, it's literally just. I'm gonna let you. I'm just so salty about this.
I was so confused when I clicked on it because the story was moving along super fast, and I'm like, "Dang, they've almost told the whole story, and it's only like 20 minutes in."
Mm-hmm.
And the movie on HBO is an hour and a half long. Like, what is going on here? It wraps up at 28 and a half minutes, and I was like, what? Like, credits are rolling and there's still an hour left of runtime. And it starts with the Warner Brothers animated logo again and the same walkthrough of a comic store that was basically like an opening credit. And it starts going into Sergeant Rock, an animated short. So the whole thing on HBO that you can click on right now and watch is just a collection of animated shorts.
Mm-hmm.
So I should have read the description because I was expecting Death in the Family.
I fell for this before. I've seen this happen before, and it was a long time ago when I lived in the woods and I had Netflix for the first time, and it was Superman versus like Shazam or and Black Adam and whatever.
Yep.
And that whole thing was just a collection of short stories, and the
Yep.
Shazam one just happened to be the first one. And it happened to me again in this. They basically just told the entire Batman Under the Red Hood movie with
Right.
like 10 minutes worth of extra scenes.
Exactly. So I
And
was going to get into that. So they literally took footage from Red Hood, Under the Red Hood, and just voiced over it. And like, I saw online that they changed the story a little bit. I didn't notice any changes, but it was basically just Death in the Family told in 28 minutes. Like, it was super fast, and it was mostly reused footage from Under the Red Hood.
Mm-hmm.
So, not a fan. The only thing I was a fan of was Bruce Greenwood as the voice of Batman. He did an excellent job.
Yes, I would agree. My biggest complaint about that was the extra scenes had like the extra scenes weren't even in the same art style. They were
Right.
resemblance, and the colors were off. You could tell if it was a new scene or not because the colors are just so off.
Yep. And the Joker was really, really weird too. He had long hair and his voice was kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It sucked.
It sucked. It was sucky.
It's good for someone who doesn't know the Death in the Family storyline.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much it. I think Under the Red Hood tells most of that anyway, and that's probably a better experience.
Very much better.
So Sergeant Rock is basically a World War II DC version of Punisher. He's just a badass with guns. His whole team is killed in the opening few minutes. He's knocked out or unconscious or whatever, and he wakes up in a medical bay, all wrapped up in gauze, and he like jumps out of bed and he's ready for his next mission. So he's teamed up with some interesting characters that I won't talk about because it'll spoil the story, to stop a Nazi experiment.
What's new? What's new with superheroes?
Sergeant Rock is voiced by Carl Urban, and this is probably the best story out of the whole movie.
Really?
This one was pretty good. The next story was Adam Strange. While his planet is being destroyed by Hawkman's race, I believe they're Thanagarians. Strange is teleported to Earth at a excavation site, and yet again, while they're excavating, they unleash ancient aliens that try to destroy them. Strange stops the aliens and then is teleported back to his home planet, and that's the end of that story. It was pretty terrible.
It's pretty strange.
The next story is Phantom Stranger. A bunch of kids, well, young adults, I guess, in the 60s are bringing their new friend to a spooky old house. Imagine something out of Scooby-Doo. And they meet... most of the friends know this guy. There's one new person that's just tagging along with them and is like, yeah, this is cool. It's cool to have friends. I'm so excited to be hanging with my new friends. And the dude that owns the house is performing some sort of demonic ritual, and Phantom Stranger tries to get the new person to like leave because it's obviously dangerous, and she's like, no, screw you, I like having friends. And eventually she stops the satanic ritual, and Phantom Stranger's like, see, you should listen to me. And that was pretty much it for the story. The last one is called Death. It doesn't follow any DC characters as far as I know, unless Death is an actual DC character. This story is about a failed artist who finally makes a beautiful painting of Death after he dies. Much sad.
Okay.
Yeah, this was not a very good viewing experience. I had to take it in 2 parts because I was so bored last night trying to watch the whole thing.
Oh my
It's
word.
so disjointed. I don't understand why they released it as one movie on HBO Max instead of just separating the shorts and have like a 20 to 30-minute short on HBO and
They
just
should-
like click through the different characters. Like,
Yeah, because Disney Plus has like all their Pixar shorts.
right.
And they have their own short like categories.
Exactly. Just
They should have just
have
done that.
the short catalog basically.
That's my
all
little
separated.
problem. That's my little problem with like HBO Max. They're not very viewer friendly. Like I don't like using their setup. It's like it kind of reminds me of Netflix, and I don't really like how their setup is either.
I would say it's worse than Netflix.
Mhm.
But yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Surprisingly enough, I like how Disney Plus has their setup because everything has a category.
See, Disney Plus bugs me though because you can't binge a show very easily. It shows what the last episode that you watched, and it shows like
Yeah.
seconds before it ends. So you have to track down the TV show. You have to go to the season that you're on and then scroll all the way to the episode that you're at. And it's not user friendly that way.
Yeah, you're right about that. I mean, I've had that problem with Netflix recently about a show that I'm watching right now.
Oh, really? And what would that be?
That show is Demon Slayer.
The Doomslayer.
It's an anime. Basically, the story is about this young boy who lives with his mother, a couple sisters, and a couple brothers, and he is the one who brings food to the table, basically, and he sells like firewood to the village down the mountain because they live on this mountain. And after his little like after he was selling some, he went to go back home. This guy at the bottom of the mountain was like, "Hey, you should spend the night here because there's demons on the mountain at night." He's like, "No, I'm gonna go home." And he's like, "No, you really should stay." And he's like, "Okay, I'll stay." And after staying, they talk about demons and stuff. He goes back up there scared because he's like, "Oh, I really hope there's no demons." And then this character has a keen smelling ability. So like he can smell blood halfway down the mountain, and he comes back up to the mountain and he sees his whole family dead. They're like blood and guts are everywhere, but his like the oldest sister is still alive, but she was turned into a demon. And so she, I think if I can remember right, starts attacking him, and he's trying to stop her from doing that. And then a demon slayer comes about and wants to kill her. Oh no, sorry, he doesn't try to kill him. He realizes that she's still breathing, and he runs down the mountain with her on his back, trying to like get a doctor or whatever. And then a demon slayer comes up, and he's like, "That's a demon." He's like, "What do you mean? She's just hurt." And he can tell it's a demon by, I think, by a messenger bird, because they have these crows. They have these crows that talk to them and tell them where to go on a mission. And basically, he convinces the demon slayer to not kill this demon because he's going to cure her. And that's how the story starts. And this demon slayer sends him to a very, not prestigious, but like a very, like one of the best demon slayers or whatever. Like, you know, the typical, the best master sends him, but not only because he's the best, but because he shares that keen smelling ability. And so that's where it takes off.
So what do you think of the artwork?
Oh, it's amazing. It is one of the best anime art like animations that I've seen in a long time. Like it when it has like a fight scene, they go all out. Like I can tell when I always have a problem with some animation because the background and the animation, like characters itself, like the actual things that move, they're different art because the backgrounds are always painted or drawn in beforehand, and then they animate over that. So it kind of feels like a disconnect.
Great.
This, it plays into that disconnect, and it has
So that would be kind of like the old school cartoons when they're like if they walk up to a door, you can tell that the door is going to open because it's colored funny.
It's kind of like that, but it only does that with characters. It doesn't. We've come up to a place in animation where it's not like that as much anymore.
Right.
But it plays into that where it uses like these things that don't actually happen in their like world. Like you'll see like flowing water or electricity where it's not actually happening, but in the attack scene, they see it themselves. It's just to show like more action and I don't know, to just I don't know how to explain it, but they just play into that by adding those things around it, and it just makes it look a lot nicer and a lot prettier. You'd have to watch it. I'm doing a very poor explanation at the moment. I can't bring my words together. I think the artwork's really good. I just don't like how their eyes are. Not the typical reason being that their eyes are too big, because the purpose of that is to show more expression and more emotion in anime. But I don't like how their like eye colors are, like how they have colored eyes. It's a very nitpick thing, but it's because it's not consistent. Because not considering the demons, because the demons are demons, you can do whatever you want. Both like humans in general, so like someone will have like a black pupil, right? And then they'll have the colored iris. Sometimes our main character has like a white pupil and a colored iris.
Weird.
So it's tiny enough where it's like you can ignore it, but it's just it's just an inconsistency from an art
Perspective.
Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for, like an artist's perspective.
So while I was locked up this week, I was trying to do anything extra for the show. And I was looking online behind the scenes, and I noticed that our show was not on iHeartRadio.
Oh?
So I changed that. So now we are available on Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music /Audible, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, our website at dimecomicbros.podbean.com, iHeartRadio, Player FM, and very, very soon I'm waiting to hear back TuneIn, which is important because that would mean that our very show could be played on Alexa Echo Dots.
Oh,
so
that's
I'm
fun.
excited for that. So wherever you're listening, we appreciate the listen and the time that you have spent listening to us. We also appreciate our Patreons, Business Casual and Jeff Lawrence. It was kind of funny last night. I was watching a hockey game on TV, and one of the very popular players kept getting the puck was a Steven Lawrence, and every single time the announcer said his name, I wanted to correct him and say, "No, it's Jeff Lawrence that's paying us. That is super cool and is like funding this show." But the guy on NBCSN did not care about my thoughts on the hockey game. But we very much care about our Patreons. If you are not Business Casual or Jeff Lawrence and are interested in keeping the lights on here at Dime Comic Bros podcast headquarters, you can go to patreon.com/Dime Comic Bros. We have multiple tiers with multiple benefits to those tiers, including stickers and artwork done by Colin and access to behind the scenes rants, which reminds me there's a rant from last week's episode that I need to publish. I just remembered that. Yeah, just all kinds of extra content that you would have access to if a weekly episode isn't enough for you. Speaking of cash flow, we are also partners with Jetpack Comics in downtown Rochester, New Hampshire. It's been a couple of weeks since we've had a stimulus check, but if you're still wondering what to do with a little extra cash in your pocket, I would suggest going to Jetpack Comics and seeing the wide selection of comic books that they have there. They have singles and omnibuses and everything in between. They have manga and posters and trading cards and board games and video games and an arcade set up in the back. Like, they have everything in that building that you could imagine. And if not, I bet if you talk to them, they could special order it for you. They are excellent with their customer service and definitely listen to you when you have a book that you're trying to hunt down. They are willing to work with you, and we appreciate everything that they do. So thank you, Jetpack Comics. If you would like to reach the show here at Dime Comic Bros, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and if you don't have social media, at our email address at dimecomicbros@gmail.com. I don't usually do the credits. Colin, have I missed anything?
Nope.
Nope.
I think you hit everything on point, my good friend.
Nice. I still feel like I'm missing something, though, so thanks for the help. I do not know what we are talking about next week, so if I don't know and I'm part of the show, then our listeners don't deserve to know.
I'm pretty sure I know.
Oh, yeah?
I think we're reading Catwoman When in Rome.
Ah, you are very right, good sir. The last book by those guys.
By
Tim Sale and
Jeff Lowe. But
yes, Jeff Loeb. Thank you. We teased this book several episodes ago, and then we put it off because you don't know us. You can't tell us what we're gonna do. We do what we want.
We do what we want. You can't tell us what to do. You're not my mom. You can't do my laundry for me.
But our patrons do have an influence on the show, so maybe you can tell us what to do.
I don't think so. You can't tell me what to do. You want artwork, you're not going to get it for another 3 months. That's how it works. I'm lazy.
I still have artwork that I've been trying to get for a year now. So
yeah, I'm just lazy. I just finished Superman Doomsday.
Nice. Want to stare at the camera and smile?
I heard that you will test positive for the next 90 days if you take another test.
You'll have the antibodies. Your body will have beaten it, but you won't actively have it for 90 days.
All right.
So
That's
I don't know.
Well, welcome back to the Dime Comic Bros podcast, where we talk about antibodies and the pandemic. Spencer, you're wrong.